Thank you for stopping by Indie Dave Comics. I am Indie Dave, who writes under the nom de plume of David Sean. Today, we're going to talk about submitting your script to an artist and the result that you're going to get back. Of course, every writer is different, every artist is different, so it helps to find an artist and discuss everything ahead of time and that he knows what you're looking for, at least as far as tone and making sure the story's getting told the way you want it. It's not always going to come back exactly the way you see it in your head, but we'll go over that a little bit. I'm going to show you one page of my script that I wrote of a 5-page short horror story that I'm hoping to submit to an anthology. The story is called Encounter at Suicide Bridge, written by myself, illustrated by Ibai Canalus. You can follow him on Twitter at Canales Heresy. He's an excellent artist. He's a great guy. Uh, what to expect when you submit your story is it's going to look differently when it gets back to you than what you saw in your head. Obviously, he's not a mind reader. You submit with the panel descriptions, and he's going to interpret the panel descriptions and send it back to you. What you have to do is learn to trust the artist. It's why you picked them. You picked them because you like their style, you like the way they do stuff. So just you have to learn to trust them that they're going to know the best way that something's going to look visually. Sometimes you're going to write a panel description and he's going to look at it, or she, or whoever your artist is, and they're going to go, I think it might look better if it were tweaked this way, or maybe from this angle or that angle. And enjoy the collaboration, because you're basically taking what you think is a good piece of work, or maybe you think it's an excellent piece of work, and you're submitting it to the artist, and that artist is going to make it better because he's going to make it the picture on the page for you. And then maybe you're going to submit it to a colorist. I'm going to submit this work to a colorist, and they're going to make it even that much better. So without any further ado, let's go to my script. This was page 2 of 5 pages. If you look, you can see the way I have it laid out. It's page 2 at the top. It's 4 panels. If you want to pause it, you can read the script, but we're going to go over panel by panel, the panel descriptions and what the picture came back as. But this is the first page. This is how I lay out a script. If you've watched any of my past videos, you'll see kind of a mock-up script that I did. This is an actual script. You look on panel. It's panel 1. The description I've written for eBay was on the right side of the road. There's a derelict-looking man holding a cardboard sign with the word Innsmouth scrawled on it. Maybe he's got a hook for a hand or a bit of tentacle sticking out from his jacket. He's only a figment of Steve's imagination, so he's partially transparent like a ghost. Now, this is the second page of the story. Steve is the main character. This particular story doesn't have a lot of dialogue in it. It's a lot of captions, and we'll get to that here in a second. But it's supposed to be a lot like kind of like a Twilight Zone type of deal. That's the tone I was going for with this story. You'll see this caption pretty much lines up. You'll see it says Innsmouth on it. I'm kind of a big kind of Cthulhu person, so I thought that was a little thing I wanted to throw in there. The caption I've put: Steve's mind wandered in the dark. It went to those places where old stories reside. You can see that's pretty much what came out on the panel. Later on, in the next ones, you're going to see that some of the captions on the script is a little bit different than what went onto the page. I did the lettering, so when I was writing it, I saw some things that would look better, or that would be better worded differently, and I'll explain why. Panel 2, I said, a Bigfoot's peeking out from behind a tree, similarly ghost-like. What's going through his head? He's kind of half asleep. He's been driving all night, and he's driving in a dark forest on his way home. So he keeps thinking about little stories and legends and urban legends and that kind of stuff. That's all the kind of stuff that's in his head and in his imagination as he's driving along. He kind of imagines seeing these things. If you look at similarly ghost-like, you can see that the Bigfoot is kind of fading behind the tree. Uh, the caption, and in the original script, it said "Urban legends hid in every shadow." But if you go back to the last one, you'll see that he said it was something along the lines of stories in his head. He went to places in his head where these stories were. So I changed the caption to "Where urban legends hide in every shadow," because it made more sense based on the previous caption, and that's how this page is going to go. You'll see a similar thing in the next frame. But if you look again, I said something about I wanted a Bigfoot, and I wanted it to kind of similarly fade away. In the next one, panel 3, you'll see any monster. I told him any monster or scary image you can think of hiding in a shadow by the road. Now, if you look, you'll see clearly this isn't a monster hiding in the shadow by the road. He's picked a Mothman up in the sky, which made more sense. This is what I'm talking about you trusting your artist. Otherwise, it's repetitive. It would be, the weird guy on the side of the road, and then it would be the Bigfoot on the side of the road, and then it would be some goblin or whatever on the side of the road. And he chose to go with something in the sky above, which was a very good decision because it changes the angle again and is less repetitive. So I gave him for instructions any monster. I wanted him to come up with something. Any monster or scary image you can think of hiding in a shadow by the road, and clearly that's not what he did. But this is actually a much better panel, I think, for than what I asked for. For the caption, again, it was different because the original caption doesn't really go back to that first caption, which talks about, he went places in his head for these stories. Tales of ghosts and monsters, night creatures he knew only existed in his drowsy brain, was in the original. I changed it up a little bit. You'll see that there is a caption, or there is a comma after monsters, and I put it as a period because it made more sense grammatically. But it said places full of half-remembered tales of ghosts and monsters, night creatures he knew only existed in his drowsy brain. You'll also notice that I have added emphasis on certain words, and these are words I think are kind of important. That kind of, as if you're reading it, it's stuff you kind of I want to bring to the front, so it makes you think about something, and it's not really a hint to what's going on, but it's what I think is the important part of those phrases for the reader to pay attention to. I lettered this myself, and if you look, it looks like it's in a bold font. What I did was I put the emphasis, I put them in italics, and then all the emphasized words I actually put one size up on the font size so that it stands out just a little bit more. Next, I wrote both hands on the wheel, his eyes wide, face in total surprise. Something is in front of him and he slammed on the brakes. You'll see I put a sound effect, screech, and that's what I've given him as a description. But I also have a caption here listed in the original script. It says, "Then suddenly his mind snapped fully awake, and he slammed on his brakes when he saw what was in front of him." If you look at the frame, you'll notice that there is no caption there. The reason is, well, one, I tried to put it there, and I tried to think of where I would put it and separate it. And then I looked at the picture itself, and I'm like, you really don't need to read that his mind snapped awake and that he slammed on his brakes by what he saw in front of him. You can clearly see from the picture his eyes are wide open, there's that loud screech, there's that change in the tone, and what it shows is I've done something that I like to call a little cliffhanger. Some people say it's you leave the last frame as a question mark or as a question, so people want to see the next page. So this page ends in a question. The question is, why is he suddenly stopping his car? I mean, you don't have to have a literal question on the page, but you're going to read this and you're going to say, why is he screeching? Why is he suddenly awake? And the caption isn't necessary. So I left that caption out, and we just left it with the picture. I think it's more effective the way it is. So that's the full second page of the story I've written. Uh, Maybe when I get it colorized, or when I get it colored, maybe we'll revisit this page, and you can see the different steps. Then you'll have seen the script to the art to the colors. Here's the full page if you want to see it, bam, 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 next to each other. Thanks again for stopping by Indie Dave Comics. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you like this kind of video, just let me know. Let me know in the comments. And y'all have a good day.
Please hang up and try again.